The murder of their son Ethan, Stacy and Jim Chapin tell us in an exclusive interview they finally have closure.
When you heard that this plea deal was going to go through, what was your reaction?
If I could physically do a handstand at that time, I'd probably do one because I am so ready for it to be done.
Ethan Chapin, along with his girlfriend Xana Kernodle and her housemates Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, all University of Idaho students, were brutally stabbed to death in November 2022 by Brian Koberger. Earlier this month, the former criminology student pled guilty to the murders in a plea deal that took the death penalty off the table. He's now expected to spend life in prison without parole.
I think our initial response was like an eye for an eye. But then we've spent a ton of time talking about it with prosecutors. And for us, we always felt like this was a better deal. I mean, he gets put away and there's no appeal system to it. And there were so many kids, including our own, that had been subpoenaed that no longer have this hanging over their heads. I mean, we just all get to go live our life. There are some family members who feel like this plea deal now means that Brian Koberger won't face the highest form of punishment. Everybody's entitled to grieve and feel how they want. Yeah, it's just not how we feel.
He's going to get what's coming to him. I really don't care what happens to the guy. He's off the streets and he can't hurt any more kids.
And that's the most important.
That's the most important thing.
At the plea hearing, the Chapins saw their son's killer in person for the first time.
Yes. It was cold and calculated and weirdly like an automated phone message.
Yes.
I mean, it was just like, you expected some, I don't know,
There's just nothing.
Remorse, emotion, something, and there was zero.
Did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
Did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
When they have to read through the charges, it was like, oh, there we go. I had to take a little. That one was tough.
That's tough to listen to that.
Ethan's family says their focus now is honoring the amazing person that he was. His parents, and for the first time, his triplet siblings, Maisie and Hunter, sharing their story in a new Prime Video documentary about the murders.
I was so scared to go to bed. It was just silence. Because such a big member of our family just wasn't there anymore.
What do you hope people take away from the documentary? What great kids they were.
Yeah.
We made a decision as a family that we would tell our version of Ethan's story one time. He was an amazing kid, and it's reflected in that.
The Chapins also started a foundation, Ethan Smile, to spread his joy, so far providing more than $100,000 in scholarships to nearly 90 students. The family finding ways to feel Ethan's presence.
We put Ethan's ashes into it.
And make sure he's never forgotten.
We all went and got tattoos. This was him, a note he wrote, like, I don't know, he probably was in the 4th grade.
Every morning, they talk to him.
You tell him what's going on in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's missed.
I miss you, dude.
Yeah.
But that's how I start my day every day.
Big and small ways to honor Ethan's memory.
I have him where I need him, in my mind, in my heart, in my soul.
Oh, goodness. Together, every time we went in the car, it was together, partied together. There was never a dull moment.
The night before Ethan was killed, Maisie brought him to her sorority formal. She now cherishes the text he sent her before bed.
So he started off by texting me, I think he said, "Dog, come hang out. We all want you here." And I said, "I'm going to bed." And then he said, "Love you." And I didn't even respond to that. I think I was asleep by then.
And the "I love you" kind of stood out, though.
Well, yeah.
Ethan says the next morning, a friend at the fraternity woke him up saying the police were at Xana's house.
Hunter Johnson came up to me and said, I was like, "Where's Ethan and Xana?" And he's like, "They're not here anymore." So like, "What do you mean they're not here anymore?" He's like, "I think they were murdered last night."
Hunter was forced to call his family with the news.
Normal weekend for us, just hanging out with our friends.
The next morning, Emily says Dylan, one of the surviving roommates, called her concerned, asking her and Hunter to come over. In the documentary, you tell the story of really not feeling alarmed when Dylan called you.
I joked around with her on the phone. You know, it's something you would never expect.
It's November, so I had shorts on, slides on. Like, I wasn't prepared to obviously stay there. I was just going over to check, see what's going on. I would say as soon as you get there, you know something's wrong.
Hunter was the first person to arrive to King Road to discover what happened. Their friend Josie Louderin, who was also there, describing the moments in the docuseries.
As soon as I stepped in the house, I was like, oh, something is so not right. Like, you could feel it almost. Hunter was ahead of me and Emily and immediately was pushed out, and Hunter was like, get up, somebody call 911.
You hear Hunter on the 911 call telling the girls there was an unconscious person protecting them from the graphic details.
Is she breathing?
No.
How did you remain so...
Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist. That's a licensed mental health counselor and a CBT therapist. I'd like to start by thanking all my subscribers, all my viewers for your kind comments. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content in this channel. Today I'd like to go back to one night at Idaho College Murders, I believe it's called. That is the episodes that's come out in Amazon Prime. I wonder if my subscribers and viewers are watching it. I wonder what you'll think about it. It is so... To start with, this is all my thoughts, my speculations, and my opinions. This is so BS. There's nothing really true from what we were told in the beginning. There's so much with the 911 call. They just make it more complex than it already is. There's a reason that they kept the 911 call on gag order for so long. I knew there was always an issue with the 911 call. It can never, I don't care what people say, I refuse to buy this. 8 hours to 9 hours to call law enforcement when a mass unaliving is going on. I don't believe the fact when people say, yeah, but DM did not know that. She knew it. Because that's a creepy old house. So if anyone moves, if anyone's TV is loud, you can actually hear it. That's one thing. Second thing, the fact that it was written in the PC that DM said that she saw a man with black mask, black clothing, bushy eyebrows. She saw him, he passed by her room, or passed basically by her, and did not bother to unalive the witness. The only person could have actually got him done for the whole quadruples. Doesn't make sense. The fact that DM is texting BF and they're running to each other's rooms, passing by poor Zana, who's unalived on the floor, while DM is saying that she thought Zana was intoxicated. Even if a person's intoxicated, wouldn't you check to see that they don't choke on their own vomit? Trigger warning. Wouldn't you check to see if the person, his blood pressure, the pulse rate, everything is on point? Wouldn't you even just wonder, like, why is the person on the floor? Let me head the person to the bed. Doesn't make sense. I like the fact that Jody, one of Xana's friends, and in fact she's more DM and Emily's friend. And actually I found out that Emily is really close to DM. So I would assume that when I look at it in this sense, DM and Xana do not only share the same floor, the second floor, and the toilet, they share the same friends. They have mutual friends. I think it's all very interesting when you look closer into Ethan and Xana's life. They hold a lot of connections. Xana seemed to be a very happy girl. So did Ethan. They seem to be always partying or something. So I wouldn't be surprised if they knew most of the fraternities, besides the Sigma Chi, that Ethan was part of, and he was having problems with the Sigma Chi. Besides that fact, I think there were I think the couple were friends with Alpha, Kappa, Lambda, and other fraternities. Jack D is friends with Zana too. So is Jake, Maddie's boyfriend. If you pay attention to the connections, because I always told you that I search for the behavior pattern, cognitive behavior. That's what we do. We check to see people's behaviors, like how was things before, just say depression came or anxiety came, or couples counseling, just say before you got this, before you came with these feelings of separation or divorce or whatsoever. We always check on the patterns, maybe last couple of weeks, couple of months, and there's the same thing with criminologists, especially criminology psychologists in the FBI. They do a profile, they check the same things. So when you look at it, it is Zana that is actually connecting all these people together. Zana and Ethan, I believe, started dating in the end of 2021, fall of 2021. And isn't that strange? Fall of 2021 is when David B and David L, his beef started brewing with Zana and Ethan, according to 4chan. So there's something going on with Ethan and Zana's life that when they got into a relationship, automatically, I believe, they started gaining more enemies. They started annoying more people. And when you look at that, if you remember the first video of the TikTok clip that the roommates and the surviving roommates did together, do you all remember each and every roommate seems to be imitating the other? And then there's this part where DM is imitating Zana. And I found it very interesting. She says, is it all right? She's pretending to be Zana. So she said, is it all right if we have a small gathering? Like 4 people maybe. So Zana was known to have gatherings. Let's say 4 or 5 people. They had a gathering. We'll just say that night. Banfield boys. Hunter Johnson maybe, Emily. Hunter Chapin himself. Because it was only Macy Chapin that was missing. So that is Zana's behavior, her behavior pattern. That means they invited someone, or while they were chilling, someone came knocking at their door. Evil came knocking at the door that night, and it could have been Banfield boys. What I found really interesting with the Banfield boys is I was paying attention to their clothes, because their clothes are like, one is too big, one is too small, nothing makes sense with their clothes. So I was going back, and I love watching pictures, and I was watching pictures of Ethan, Zana, Maddie, Kaylee, the surviving roommates, all of these people on Amazon Prime in these episodes, just to see if the Banfield boys are wearing any clothes that could actually belong to Zana and Ethan. Strangely enough, the one that has on a pink hoodie and has the big forehead, you remember, like he got punched on his forehead or whatever, head butted on his forehead. If you look closely at that guy, he's wearing a pink hoodie jumper. And that looks almost identical to the one Ethan had on in a picture. And I wonder if Ethan and Zana had the similar one and he went and wore Zana's one. Then there's the part Ethan Knight, the one that unalived his father due to self-defense, according to him. The one in Banfield with the sunglasses. Many people have told me to look closer into those glasses because they look like they're Ethan's glasses. And strangely enough, they do look like Ethan's glasses. Ethan had a collection of glasses, these sunglasses and all that. So I wonder if the police ever checked into that. And the more I look into Ethan, Zana, and the more I watch this Amazon, Idaho, One Night in Idaho, BS, the more I was sorry to say, the more I watch into this, the more I can see, like I can understand new things, like the puzzles are coming in place. So we've got Ashlyn Koch who says clearly that she took Maddie under her wing, and Maddie and her took Zana under their wing. And let's not forget, Emma Bailey and Demetrius took Ashley Couch under their wing. And then you have Caden Young, the young journalist, the president of the Alpha Kappa Lambda, that was OD'd by no other than Emma Bailey and Demetrius. Do you see the connections? Little by little, I think we will get to somewhere with this case. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but I'm just saying that this is the reason from the beginning of the case, is to say this case is very complex. It is complex because there were 7 students that were unalived. Idaho Moscow needs to stop with this. It wasn't Ethan, Zana, Maddie, and Kaylee made the rest in peace only. Add Caden Young, add Hudson Lindo, and add Hannah Clay. You have 7 victims. And you heard Ethan's mother, when she was talking about Ethan, they played the part where the judge is asking Coburg if he's going to plea. I don't know if I played that yet, but he clearly says, human being for Zana and Ethan. He forgot to say that for Kaylee and Maddie, because I've seen that in so many cases. Judges do say human being. Sometimes they don't say that, but the reason they say human being is to put dignity into basically who they're talking about, to give the victim more respect instead of just treating them like a victim, to remember that they had an identity. So the judge should have always addressed them all as human beings, but we know they're human beings. Just because they're deceased doesn't make them a non-human being. They were human beings, and whoever did these crimes will be judged as they were human beings. None of these 4 victims are alive, in my opinion. Many people still ask me in my comments. I want to address that. I do not believe any of these 4 victims are alive. If they were alive, believe me, Koberger wouldn't have signed a plea deal for 5 counts. 1 was for burglary, 4 was for unaliving Kaylee, a human being, Maddie, a human being, Zana, a human being, and Ethan, a human being. He's getting charged for those 5. So if 2 of them was alive, they can't charge him for 4. They'll have to charge him for 2. Common sense is really important at times, guys, because the more we say that these victims, the more we guess if they're in a witness protection program, that means we are actually doubting the grief the 4 parents are going through. And last thing we want to do is disrespect the victims or their parents' name. That I really believe, honestly, because it's important to understand that they're going through their own bereavement. I don't think the G family or Canodals or Morgan family or the Chapin family would come here and pretend to be breathing, just to act as though you're breathing. I admire actors, must be tough. So imagine playing that role for 2 years and 8 months. It's impossible. These 4 victims, may God bless their souls, were gone too soon. Gone too soon. And I still believe out of hate, jealousy, revenge, rage, steroids. I like the fact that in the Amazon Prime, wasn't it strange what David B says, and Hunter Chapin and Emily? It was an eerie night. We felt like we just had to. There was something in the air. It sounded like Phil Collins. There's something in the air tonight. All of a sudden, they felt like it was eerie. They needed to go lock their doors. David B., you would know that it was an eerie night because 4chan Anonymous said that you had planned it. but you're doing really well on the Amazon Prime. I'm really surprised how many people are making profits and benefits out of this case. Without the case even going to trial, we had Howard Bloom blooming from this case. And it's never stopped. At least when people talk about us and say that we are trying to defend a guilty man, Koberger, no. At least we're not trying to make benefits out of this. What we're trying to do is try and find what is the motive. Just like it's strange even that this girl, what's her name? Emily, says the same question. Why did he choose us? Hunter says himself, when I heard the name Brian, he repeated the name. He said, Brian. I was thinking like, this is a random person. He has nothing to do with us. Obviously Hunter, because it was the Davids. It was the grub truck, number 9. All of y'all were in it. But why did they choose Hunter to make the 911 call is important. Is it because he doesn't belong to the Sigma Chi fraternity? He was from Phi Theta. How come we never see anyone from his fraternity, Hunter? And he seemed to be always chilling with the Sigma Chi fraternity boys. I found that to be strange. But I still do not see that empathy, that emotion, not even a tear when they're talking about Ethan and Zana. They're supposed to have had plenty of good times with them. How come nobody has a picture of the couple? Strange. And then David Baracho said, I stood and I spoke to Zana and she said, oh, we should link up more often. And I said, yeah, how come I've never thought of that? We should. David Baracho, or David Baroch, we know one thing for a fact. Zana and Ethan wouldn't chill with you and David Lodge. They would never. That was half of what the fight was about. Shawalter is one person I still don't trust. The Banfield boys. It's just so sad that all these alternatives suspects that are running around loose could actually do it once again. Hunter and Emily, like you would see, even Jody, you're supposed to see like even a tear, like, you know, a tearful eye, like, because you have basically, what's the word? You have actually run into a quadruple. You saw 4 people unalived. Cut it out. The blood was seeping from the walls. Then they're sitting here and the mainstream news is baby sitting them. What kind of crap is going on? The real victims are called Ethan, Zana, Kaylee, and Maddie. All of a sudden, the Chapin triplets, the one that actually I can see a bit crying from lately is Maisie. And I honestly, when you look at, like, you know, when you invest so much in this case, not invest like out of good faith, when you've been following this case for so long, you start getting to know the victims and the family members and the relations. And you can actually really see that Maisie had a very, very close connection with Ethan. She looks like she's really suffering, but there's something she can't say. And look at the position Hunter Chapin is in. He would know everything. He did everything with his brother, like he said. These people need to cut it off. As for DM and BF, I'm going to talk about them a bit later. Those two make this make sense. Is all I can say with them. They're hiding themselves up to now like they are the victims. You would think actually that they lost their lives at the rate they're going. Nobody's attacking them. That's a lie. People are asking questions that are reasonable questions. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you get to the bottom of this case. Let's see what happens on the 23rd of July. But we all know that Koberger is taking the plea deal.